Gremmy Thoumeaux. Gremmy Thoumeaux, Yurimi Thoumeaux, is a Quincy and a member of the Wandenrake's Stern Ritter with the designation V, the Visionary. The Thousand-Year Blood War Arc. When Ganail Lee rises after being struck by 11th Division Lieutenant Yachiru Kosajishi, Gremmy makes a deep cut in his shoulder. Sitting inside the barrier which is healing 3rd Division Captain Rojuro Odoribashi and 9th Division Captain Kensei Mugiruma, he reminds Ganail that he is only a product of Gremmy's imagination and will now vanish from his mind. After disposing of Ganail, Gremmy reveals he has killed the two captains, shocking 4th Division Lieutenant Isane Kotetsu. Gremmy dodges an attack from Yachiru and imagines the bones in her hand are made of cookies, effectively making this true. He goes on to explain his powers, but is interrupted by the arrival of 11th Division Captain Kenpachi Zaraki. Gremmy notes Kenpachi's strong appearance and raises the ground to make a stage for them to fight on before explaining his power to Kenpachi, who only tries to attack. As Gremmy tries to explain why Kenpachi cannot cut him, Kenpachi presses on and slashes through part of Gremmy's right shoulder. Gremmy remains silent as Kenpachi proclaims Gremmy cannot imagine something which he cannot cut. Gremmy gets up, revealing he imagined himself healed, and declares he will kill Kenpachi through his imagination without even lifting a finger. When Gremmy creates lava to kill him, Kenpachi tells Yachiru to get away, prompting Gremmy to state she cannot do so before revealing her bones are made of cookies. After surrounding Kenpachi with water, Gremmy throws him into a fissure, which he closes while stating that Kenpachi will drown within an hour. However, Kenpachi breaks free and attacks Gremmy, who successfully blocks him. After Kenpachi has Yachiru leave the battlefield to get her arm healed, Gremmy notes Kenpachi figured out how to disable his power. Kenpachi confirms this and reminds Gremmy of his claim of being the strongest Quincy before proclaiming this will not be a fight if Gremmy does not focus on him. Surrounding Kenpachi with several rectangular blocks of earth, Gremmy notes Kenpachi's reasoning of him wanting to kill the strongest combatant and tells himself he has never thought this because no one has ever displayed aggression toward him. However, Gremmy realizes that he wishes to kill Kenpachi, and is overjoyed at the prospect as he creates several dozen firearms around himself and engulfs Kenpachi in an onslaught of bullets. Gremmy creates several missiles and throws them toward Kenpachi, who withstands the explosions and notes his sword is finally beginning to enjoy himself. While noting he feels especially good right now, Gremmy creates a shield to defend against Kenpachi's attack, only for Kenpachi to cut through it. As Kenpachi proceeds to slash him multiple times, Gremmy notes Kenpachi is taking advantage of his lack of reaction to attack him relentlessly, and thinks to himself this is impossible. When a confused Kenpachi asks him if he is imagining his own death, Gremmy realizes he is, heals his wounds, and thanks Kenpachi for pointing this out. Gremmy decides to thank Kenpachi by revealing his greatest power, and creates a clone of himself nearby. When Kenpachi attacks the clone, Gremmy claims it will not be hurt and reveals that his power of imagination is doubled in this form while pointing to a huge meteorite hurtling toward them from above. Gremmy proclaims this meteorite will obliterate both Kenpachi and the entire Siriidii. Explaining how the meteorite will not go away if Kenpachi kills him because it is already in existence, Gremmy and his clone proclaim they will be the only ones who survive, as this is what they imagined, before telling Kenpachi he cannot do anything. However, they are shocked when Kenpachi claims they are the ones who cannot do anything, and are stunned into silence when Kenpachi destroys the meteorite with a single attack of his true Shirkai. In the aftermath of the destruction, a shocked Gremmy denounces Kenpachi as a monster. After hearing Kenpachi saying he can cut through anything, Gremmy states he shall kill Kenpachi using something without form and creates more clones of himself before surrounding Kenpachi with the vacuum of space. Trapped, Kenpachi cuts through one of the clones, but the remaining clones converge on him and create a massive explosion. Exhausted, Gremmy moves away and, seeing Kenpachi still standing, thinks about how desperately he wants to win before increasing his own power to match Kenpachi. However, his body is unable to handle this increase in power and breaks apart as Gremmy falls to the ground. Thinking about his defeat, Gremmy concludes that he lost because he imagined his power to be as great as Kenpachi's and no body other than Kenpachi's could handle such force. As Kenpachi approaches him, Gremmy explains his loss as his body begins to dissipate. When his brain falls out, he reveals his true nature and notes that he indeed never used a single finger to attack Kenpachi. As Gremmy dies, he states that he feels lonely thinking about the place he is going to, where he will be unable to imagine anything at all, before his body completely disperses. Powers and abilities. The Visionary, Za Visionari, Japanese for dreamer, Gremmy has the ability to turn fantasy into reality. For example, if he imagines that the bones in someone's arm are made of cookies, this will become true. By imagining that his body is more sturdy than the strongest steel, he can drastically increase his bodily defense. He can instantly heal any wounds inflicted onto him by imagining them already healed. Even more, using his power, Gremmy can create elements and substances from his mind, e.g. creating lava, water, or even a gigantic stone platform and steel pillars to use for attack and defense against foes and manipulate them as he sees fit, and he could also restructure the battlefield to his liking, like imagining a big crevice. Gremmy can also create real weapons around himself, ranging from machine guns to missiles, in order to attack his opponent. If Gremmy dies, everything which he has imagined into existence ceases to exist, such as his stone platform crumbling and the blood from his imagined body vanishing. Life creation. Gremmy's greatest power is his ability to create life with his imagination. Using this power, he can clone himself, increasing his power of imagination with each clone made. This allows for him to create much more potent objects, such as a huge meteorite. By creating more clones, he can transform an area into the vacuum of space, suffocating the targets within and rupturing their lungs due to the rapid decompression caused by the difference in air pressure. The clones are invulnerable to harm unless they forget to harden their bodies. Gremmy can even create other sentient living beings using this power, having created Ganael Lee and then erasing him from existence with the same power. This power is not limited to creating other beings, as he can even create a living vessel for himself. Infiltration. Gremmy used his powers to appear inside Isane Kotetsu's barrier and completely mask his presence, only being noticed when he took action against Ganael. Even Yachiru, an expert in infiltration in her own right, failed to detect him. Racier manipulation. As a Quincy, Gremmy primarily absorbs Racier from the atmosphere, and combines it with his own Ryuryoku to form weapons. He has an easier time collecting this energy in environments with higher concentrations of Racier such as in Soul Society or Hueco Mundo. Enhanced speed. Gremmy is fast enough to effortlessly dodge a surprise attack from a shurikai-wielding Yachiru Kusajishi, a lieutenant renowned for her speed, despite the fact that her shurikai is also very difficult to dodge, before easily grabbing her hand mid-swing, preventing her shurikai from using its preemptive strike to harm him. Immeasurable spiritual power. As a Stern Ritter, Gremmy's spiritual power is on a level comparable to or greater than that of a captain-level Shinigami. Gremmy claims to be the strongest Stern Ritter, and his power is feared even by the likes of Jugram Hashwalt and Askin Nak Lovar, who have large amounts of Ryuryoku themselves. Another Stern Ritter, Pepe Wakabrata, considers him a monster who should be kept locked up. As a true testament to Gremmy's power, he fought on par with 11th Division Captain Kenpachi Zaraki, who is known for his monstrous Ryuryoku, and even managed to injure the powerful Shinigami to such a degree that far weaker Stern Ritter could have killed him. Weakness. The Visionary. Attention diversion. If Gremmy shifts his attention away from the target affected by his power, it can revert to what it was before. Conscious control. If Gremmy is not careful, he can cause his own death by imagining it. Furthermore, if Gremmy forgets to harden his body, he will be vulnerable to damage. Imagination limitations. If Gremmy does not imagine his body to harden to sufficient levels, a strong enough opponent can cut through his body. Also, though Gremmy can increase his spiritual power to match the likes of an individual such as Kenpachi Zaraki, since he could not imagine a body capable of containing that power, it severely damaged his body and killed him.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later.